Welcome back to my channel. I absolutely love fake dating. It is my favorite trope in a romance book. I typically like all romance, but fake dating does something to me. It itches my brain just a little bit in a way I cannot explain. So I'm gonna recommend some of the fake dating that I read and absolutely loved. I'm gonna start with the ones I don't have first so I don't forget them. The first one is The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. It was cute, it was fluffy. There was some spice, I believe, but not too much. It follows, I don't remember their names. I'm bad at names, that seems to be the theme here. But it follows these two people who decide to fake date for his family. He is an astronaut. He is away in space a lot or just working, and he doesn't really have time for dating, but his family wants him to meet somebody. He was engaged previously and it didn't work out. So he met the woman, God, I don't know her name, I'm sorry. He met the woman in a coffee shop where she spills coffee on him. And then, she kind of pretended she was dating him just for her ex, but he was like, let's keep this going. How about we pretend to date for my family? They're on me a lot. And, my parents are having their anniversary dinner, or was it his mom's birthday? I can't remember, but they were all going to be at a cabin together celebrating. So he was like, come with me and we can pretend that we're a couple. So not only do we get fake dating, we get forced proximity because they are sleeping in the same space. And I believe they're sharing a bed, but then they also end up like living together at one point. So it's like even more forced proximity, and it's kind of convenience. It's all the things that people love in a romance. Very cute, light. There's not too much heavy topics in there. Not every romance I read is like super deep and, filled with trauma, but it was very cute, fluffy. Absolutely loved it. Ate it up. I would definitely recommend that book. The other book is also a cute, fluffy romance. I would say rom-com kind of. It is called The Love Con by Ceresia Glass, and this one follows, oh my goodness, my nose is itchy. This one follows a plus size girl who is into Comic-Con. So she absolutely loves dressing up. She loves making the outfits. So she's in a competition where she is making outfits for different categories within like Comic-Con. And so she gets to the next stage of the competition, but then they let her know that she has to do this with a partner. And, the guy next to her says he's gonna do it with his partner, who happens to be his partner in real life. And so she was like, well, I don't know who else to do it with other than my best friend, because he does help me sometimes and he's into that outfit. But she was like, obviously, how is it gonna look if I'm like, oh, my best friend, when he just said his boyfriend, And so she said, oh, my boyfriend, blah blah, and she said his name. He watched it on TV and he was like, whoa. Her parents immediately called him and was like, is there something you're not telling us? Like, you guys are dating and we're not aware? And so he was like, we'll talk about it when she gets home. So when she gets home, they communicate about it and they decided just to fake date for the competition, but also for her parents, because she just openly said out on the internet to the world that they are dating. So they continue to date, and obviously they fall in love, and it was very cute. That one is an interracial couple. I believe he's white. I think his name was Luke, and she was black. She's a plus size woman, and it was cute. It was cute, and they already lived together, so definitely forced proximity. They were roommates, but then they started sleeping in the same room because the show would follow them at home. It was great. I loved it. That one also had a little bit of spice, but not too much spice. A little bit, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it did. And then to the ones I do have, Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This one is a slow burn. So if you like a slower burn, fake dating usually is, right? It takes a while for them to like realize they actually like each other. That's why I love it. There is the yearning for each other, the tug and pull, the back and forth, I absolutely love it. There is a slight miscommunication in here, which I did not love, but it was very short-lived. So I was like over that very quickly. I was like, okay, that's fine. I hate when they let it go on forever. I hate miscommunication, especially in adult romances. I'm telling you, it's something about two grown people who don't know how to communicate effectively that would never sit right with my soul. And it's not so much as like having the tools to know how to communicate effectively. It's just simply saying, hey, this is what I saw, or this was what I heard. Is just correct. Immediately when they hear things, the miscommunication comes from just not talking. So you don't have to have the effective tools to learn how to communicate effectively, right? And what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But literally open your mouth and say what is bothering you. That's the part where it would never sit right with my soul. But he immediately shut that down. He came to her and was like, nope, we're gonna talk about it. I loved that. I loved it. So this follows Brianna and I believe Jacob, yes. I love this book so much, that's why I remember the name. This follows Brianna, who is the best friend of, I forgot her best friend's name, but in the first book, Part of Your World. So this follows her and Jacob. Jacob moves to the hospital that Brianna works at. They're both doctors, and you know, his sister came one day to see him. Mind you, he was pretending that he had a girlfriend with his family. It's always with the family. So he was pretending that he had a girlfriend to get his family off his back. And so his sister came to like drop off something for him at work, and she saw him having lunch with Brianna. She immediately assumed that he and Brianna were dating. So he was like, I hate to ask you this, but, and she was immediately like, yes, like she's a down girl, okay? And so they start fake dating for his family. They obviously fell in love, but neither one of them wanted to say it. Oh my God, it took them so long to eventually say, I mean, literally, I think about here is when they decided to say that they had feelings for each other. And I'm like, speak. Please, somebody tell somebody something. But I absolutely ate it up. Listen, slow burn is gonna do it every time. You mix the slow burn with a fake dating and dead. I love this one. Next one is Honey and Spice by Blue Babalola. This one is also cute. This is a college romance. They are on college campus. They both go to a HBCU, and Malachi is new to the campus, and all the girls are swooning over him. He is very attractive and he exudes confidence. So he has the girls like falling over. And so Kiki has a podcast geared towards Caribbean American students, and she is no nonsense, don't take nothing from the men, and that's the whole idea of her podcast is, don't let the man fool you. And so when he came to the campus, the women was like, oh, she basically told the ladies on her podcast, girls, stand up. He is not all of that, calm down. And so he decided to come on her podcast, and then like they had like this little tension between them. I mean, the whole book is like the banter was bantering. They had tension, and they decided to continue to do the podcast for, I believe, his project for one of his classes. So they realized the tension between them was like garnering more views, or is it views? More attraction. And so people thought they were dating, and so they decided to date to help further the podcast, to help her out, help him out, and obviously they start feeling each other. Okay, so this one was great romance, but also they touched on topics about, you know, what it's like to be Black and working your way up to doing better for yourself. It was just a good read. and I absolutely loved it. Again, fake dating is gonna do it every time. I'm also a Kiki, like, girls, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. I love my husband, and he's one of the greatest people I've ever met in life. People, not men, but he's one of the greatest people I've ever met in life. But I am all for that man ain't worth it. All for it. So I absolutely love this. And then the last one I'm going to recommend is actually a Christmas one. So far away from reading it, right? But I mean, you're far away from reading it. I've already read it. But that is How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This one's a little thicky, okay? Now, this one has grumpy sunshine, kind of forced proximity. So I don't remember her name, but she moves to the town to help her aunt who hurt her hip. It was just a ploy for her aunt to get her to the town because they hadn't been there in a while. The town, I think, is called Crinkletown, I think so. And so the whole town celebrates Christmas pretty much year round. And, you know, she hadn't been in the Christmas spirit. She hadn't been wanting to go to the town. So that was the only way her aunt knew to get her there. Her mom knew as well. She was part of it. So her and her sister came there to help the aunt. But again, ploy just to get them there. She meets Cole, not meet. They had already known each other from the past. They were best friends or close friends. Then something happened between them. Miscommunication happened between them. I forgave the miscommunication because they were both young. But miscommunication happened and they stopped being friends altogether. So immediately when they saw each other, there was this like animosity and this like tension between the two of them. So then the town has a competition every year or I forgot how often. Again, the whole town is Christmas filled. So they have a competition for who is going to be Mr. Christmas or Mrs. Christmas. And so he enters the competition and she decides she's going to enter the competition also just to get under his skin, okay? But as the competition started heating up, they're neck and neck with points, right? They're going back and forth over who's winning what, and her aunt is helping her. Her aunt is pretending that her hip is hurt to like further help her in the competition. Her aunt's an OG, okay? She's an OG, but hold on. I'm thirsty. Side note, but I absolutely love Dr. Pepper. It's almost all that I drink. Specifically, I drink zero Dr. Pepper. This one's the blackberry. Not my favorite. I also have strawberries and cream one in the fridge. Again, zero sugar. But my favorite one is the zero sugar cherry. A cherry soda is gonna do it every time. But anyway, back to the task on hand, Sheldina. So they're in competition with each other. They're neck and neck. And because there's so much tension, they're like going at each other's neck. Everybody's like, oh, y'all are dating? And then they're like, no, we're not. But then they realize like they both start getting more and more points and like pretty much like defeating the competition, you know, because people think they're dating. So they're like, let's just go with it. So it's not so much fake dating, but a little bit. Like a little bit later on, there's like a little bit of fake dating. But then they eventually talk about what happened in the past and they realize it was a miscommunication, which made it so easy for them to tell each other they loved each other. Now, I feel like the whole book, the competition was very fun. It was enjoyable. Everybody talks about the candy cane scene. There was a candy cane scene in there. Now, I thought it was going to be more intense. I thought he was going to her with the candy cane like the entire time. Like, and I was thinking in my head, that's sticky. You know what I mean? Like candy cane is sticky. And that's like, you know what I mean? But it wasn't as intense as I thought it was going to be or as people made it seem. Definitely there was play with food, but it wasn't too crazy. Or maybe I just hyped it up in my head. But anyway, so this one is spicy. It is. It's the spiciest one out of all the ones I recommend. Now, not the spiciest book I've read, but definitely the spiciest out of all the ones I've recommended. But obviously they fall in love. Now, the ending, I felt like the ending was a little bit rushed. For as big as the book was, it was almost like, oh, competition's over. Like, I was having fun with the competition, okay? They were making candy canes. They were doing lights on their house, who had the best lights. It was different things, and I was having fun. And people talk about Hallmark, but I love Hallmark movies. You'll never get me to not love a Hallmark movie, okay? I don't care. I don't care. I used to watch them with my mom as a kid, and so now as an adult, I watch them by myself with my husband, forcibly. He's just there, like, watching it with me. But anyway, I wanted to know how the competition ended without it being like, oh, so-and-so won. And I think we only found out who won in the epilogue, I think. And so it was just really like, we were doing so good with the plot, but it was like immediately once they realized they got together, it was like, forget the competition. Who even cares? Which, I mean, maybe, but I care. I feel like if you're reading a sports romance and they're in the middle of like their season or towards the ending of their season, you want to know if they won or not, right? So that's how I felt. I wanted more of the competition, and I felt like my sister-in-law read it, and I think she felt the same way as me. And so other than that, the book was great. I absolutely love all of these books. So yeah, the first two, very fluffy, light, cutesy romances. They are both adult romances, but again, fun, cute, fluffy. This one is the heaviest out of all of them. It does touch on grief. It touches on trauma. It touches on kidney failure. So it's the deepest. It's heavy, but in a good way. I don't think it's traumatizing, if that makes sense, but definitely the heaviest. This one is the most like racial motivated book. Now, that's not to say it's in your face thrown and everything is talked about that, but definitely if you're looking for something where there's depth. And I believe Malachi is, or I think they both are Nigerians, I believe. So they do talk about that as well. But again, her podcast is geared towards like Caribbean American students. So loved. And again, A Christmas Wreck, which is more spicier than the others. So definitely, if you have a recommendation for fake dating, let me know down below. I absolutely love it and will eat anything up by it within the category. I don't think I've read one that I'm like, it's gonna do it every time. Especially a slow burn. If you have those recs, let me know down below. If you've read any of these, let me know how you felt about them. But as always, thanks for watching. Happy reading. Bye.